The pressure is on for Ohio State, and the Buckeyes are turning the pressure up. This is BuckIQ. I am Austin Ward. That is Zach Boren. Okay, so there wasn't really a scenario, Zach, where either of us thought that Jack Sawyer and J.T. Tuimoloau would be having a senior day, or that they wouldn't have a set of gold pants, or that not win a Big Ten championship. All those things. We've talked about that before, but there's something going on, whether that's different blitzes, whether that's just the urgency of the moment, where it feels like these guys are starting to elevate a little bit when the Buckeyes need it most.
Yeah, I mean, I think that list goes more and more than you're talking about, right?
I know.
I mean, we could name a bunch of guys that we didn't think would have senior days, but they have answered the call in the best way possible. And you have seen this defense ratchet up week over week, taking a massive step against Penn State, and then again in the weeks to follow. And then you saw what they did against Indiana. And after that first drive was completely locked down. So I know I'm super excited to see what they can do against this Michigan team. Obviously, this rivalry game has been won so much the past couple of years with the rushing yards, with being able to take up the time of possession. I'm excited to see these guys put their hand in the ground and get after this Michigan offense.
So it's not just Jack and JT necessarily winning, one-on-one individual matchups, though we've seen some of that in the last couple of weeks. But you look at the second half of the season overall, after Oregon, after the no pressure, no touching Dylan Gabriel performance, what has changed overall with this Ohio State defense to generate the quarterback hits, the sacks, the pressure, the tackles for loss that were not existent in that game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've brought a lot more pressure than what they did, and they've shown some different looks. I think the other thing is they've run a lot more different stunt games, include it with their safeties, linebackers, and defensive linemen. Right? Like I think early on the year, I don't want to say they got overly confident, but you got to a point where you're like, hey, listen, I think we've got the best D-line in the country. We're just going to let them go one-on-one with these guys and go straight up and expect them to win. And that's hard, right? No matter who you're playing, you're still playing Division I offensive linemen who are strong, agile, can do things to hold you up. Now you saw them go to much more of, okay, how do we put the offensive line in a bind? How do we put the quarterback in a bind with running different X games, with running different twists with blitzers? And we've seen a lot of that. And what it does is creates confusion up front, defensive linemen getting unblocked, secondary guys getting unblocked as they're bringing pressure. But then at the same time, you've also seen some of these guys win more of their one-on-one battles, which they weren't doing early in the game, especially against Oregon.
What do you think Saturday is going to be like for Jack Sawyer, Zach? I mean, local kid hasn't won in the game. We know all those, the resume that everything's missing. There's a lot of pressure. Keep using that word on him to get this victory for the Buckeyes on Saturday.
So it's funny. You asked me that question, and you kind of followed up with a statement that's where my first thought went of, I can't imagine the emotions and pressure that Jack is going to be going through, especially growing up in Pickerington, Ohio, right? That's where I'm from, 15, 20 minutes away from Columbus. Grew up bleeding the scarlet and gray, knowing how important this rivalry is and winning a pair of gold pants. And to think that he hasn't won any yet, he's going into a senior day with everything on the line to get out of this game, winning his first pair and beating the team up north. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, just probably the emotional roller coaster. And I'm like going back to like when I played and just my senior day and those things. But you got to think like I had won 2 pairs previously to that, right? So the amount of pressure as well built up in this game for Jack and to perform and to come on and show people like, hey, listen, this is who I am. This is the kid that committed, that was, number ranked 2 kid in the country. Jack wants this more than anything. I know he does, and I know this Ohio State team wants it more than anything.
Yeah, well, he and JT coming in together, it would have been unthinkable if you had told either one of us, 4 years ago, that this would be the situation for them and that they had not reached the summit that they wanted to. When you're the number 1 and number 2 defensive ends in the country, and Ohio State's got them in the same class, like I think that's why there's been, I don't know the standard was set really high for them. The expectations were sky high, and sometimes we set them too high. But the bar for the program is still to win this game, and the fact that neither one of them has done that is just a little bit crazy, like you said.
Yeah, I also think the tough thing is, they followed a long line of both Bosa brothers, Chase Young, even, I know they were on the team, but even Jonathan Cooper, right? And you saw what Coop was able to do, the production he was able to do as a local kid. I think the first guy to ever wear the Blocko number, right? And then you follow all of that up with, the number 1 and number 2 ranked, not only defensive ends, but recruits in the entire country, right? Like, we're talking about all positions. And so I know Buckeye fans were salivating when you got both of those guys, thinking like, oh my God, these guys are following the Bosa brothers and Chase Young. And that bar was set so high. So to your point, no one thought they would be here for 3 years. No one thought that they would go throughout their college careers without beating Michigan up to this point. There are so many storylines. Like, you could even take it a step further on the defense. You talk about Lathan Ransom, who a lot of his sites had as a 5-star kid, and no one expected him to be here at this point. Denzel Burke after his freshman year, who would have thought he was playing a 4th year after that freshman stud season, right? Like, right. There are so many things that you can talk about just on the defensive side of the football from this recruiting class. And so that's why I'm so excited for these guys, excited to see them show out on Saturday.
Yeah. Huge opportunity coming for them to erase that, change their legacy a little bit moving forward by beating the rivals in the game. All eyes. You got to win up front to win the game. Jack Sawyer and J.T. Tuimoloau trending in the right direction. Big performance against Indiana. Let's check it out and roll the tape. Looking at this, Zach, I wanted to pick like the turning point of the game, and I thought it was the back-to-back plays. We've been talking about Jack and J.T. so much. It's this drive here. It's late in the third quarter. Ohio State has already taken a 3-score lead. We've seen plenty of pressure packages from Cody Simon and others, but this is that point where these guys get home and it's like, all right, that's what you've been waiting to see. Can they do this in the game?
Yeah, and it's so funny that this clip shows exactly what these two have been able to do all year and shows their strengths, right? JT's get off is so good, and he's able to realize he's made so many of these plays when he gets a pulling guard, pulling tackle, pulling tight end on him, and he sees the down block, he doesn't stop, right? So many guys, when they see the block down, so many defensive ends stop right here because they're like, oh man, they're going to run the football, I can't keep on going. Instead, JT doesn't even slow down. He keeps on going. There's no way for this guard to get him. He uses his speed to get to the quarterback. Then you go up top. Jack Sawyer, I've been saying this for so long. He is the man when it comes to the bull rush, right? Like, that is his move. He should patent that bad boy because, in my opinion, he's one of the best in the country at it. And you see him going up against his tight end. He realizes, hey, listen, I don't have a normal offense tackle against me. I have this tight end. I'm going to use my strength. I'm going to bull rush him straight back to the quarterback, disengage. And then here you see both of them getting on Curtis Rourke to get him down to the ground on a massive first down.
Yeah, I would think, Zach, that teams had watched enough film to realize it's probably not a good idea to try and pull someone towards JT.
Two things. I probably would never pull someone towards JT, and I'd never put a tight end on pass pro against Jack, and they did both of them right here. That's why I don't understand. Like, if they watch tape, these are the two things I'm not doing. And this is what they did.
Yeah, that's a big mistake. It's, as you said, it's really impressive to watch this. It can slow motion, how quickly JT and Jack are able to get upfield. That part, the athleticism, we can look at the production over the course of the year. I think that's why it's always been a stunner, because they have skills that in some ways you just can't teach.
Yeah, so the play design, right, is the block down, and then you see the puller, so everyone expects it's a handoff, right? Defensive ends, what are they supposed to do? Take on the lead block, not get upfield, fill the gap right there, close it down. But what JT does is, like, he doesn't stutter, and that's what everyone's expecting. So from this standpoint, it's like he uses his recognition to say, hey, listen, I'm not slowing down. I'm going to continue using my speed. I mean, there's no way that pulling guard or that running back has any kind of chance on JT in this case.
Yeah, and that's the old thinking about 4 years ago. Those two guys are going to be meeting at the quarterback a ton throughout their career. They did it there. And then you follow that up with one that's like, all right, I think Curtis Rourke, he's got 3rd and 10. He knows that something is coming. Jim Knowles at this point has made it pretty clear that there's going to be a pressure look, and it's not always about the blitzer himself getting home.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about just previously, is that, the changeup after Oregon was, instead of in this situation, letting those four guys just go straight up and make a play, you're bringing some kind of blitz package and stunt package that's going to confuse up front. Here, you see a complete loop game with Cody Simon and Jack Sawyer, and everyone's like, how does that happen straight up the middle? But watch this. So you're bringing Cody, you're bringing Mike and Sam in this case, or Mike and Will, which is Cody and Sonny Styles. Sonny's up top. He's going to have contain right here. Cody's job is to literally go to one side of the center and then literally rip across his face so you can ensure that he takes you. He's either going to take you or come off and you're going to be open, or you're taking one for the team right here. And then Jack is coming around. And here you see Jack coming around, Cody doing a perfect job of going across the center's face to ensure that he's taking them. And then Jack has literally an open lane to the quarterback, and Curtis Rourke can't do anything in this situation.
We saw Jack doing this increasingly at Wrigley Field against Northwestern, Zach, where he was getting there, just not finishing these plays. This is not the exact same situation, but I think life is about reps, right? He's more comfortable. He finishes this one again. Not a perfect comparison, because Curtis Rourke is like, okay, this play's over. He's given up, but like we saw this as last year too, that Jack Sawyer was really coming into his own and playing his best football at the end of the year. That's going to be critical on Saturday.
For sure, and you hit the nail on the head. Jack hasn't so much finished on some of these plays previously in the year, but these reps, he knows what time it is. He knows it's November, championship time. He's making these plays. And I also think Curtis Rourke was just tired of getting hit all day. This is probably the fifth sack of the day right here, where Curtis Rourke's just like, I'm done.
Well, where's he gonna go? Because you got Ty Hamilton's holding contained, Sonny Styles is out there. Like I think that this is a great example, Zach, of what Jim Knowles has taken with really good players, really good personnel, and putting some new ideas out there. Like you don't have to just line them up one-on-one and say, hey, our athletes are better and go win. You can also have better athletes and scheme it up.
Yeah, and for any coach who thinks that is going to get beat. Right? Like you can never think the horses that I put out there are just going to win no matter what. And Jim Knowles is definitely making some changes, showing some different variations of blitzes and different stunts. And you see it coming to fruition week over week. And it's going to be massively important in this game, because if you get Michigan behind the sticks this Saturday, that's a recipe for a massive victory.
Yeah, Michigan doesn't want any part of that. We'll see. Almost there. A couple days away from the game. We've been waiting all week. We started it early with the little rivalry kickoff on Monday with Zach Boren. You can check that out on the podcast YouTube channel and all audio platforms. You got BuckIQ right here, though. So excited. Doesn't even begin to cover it. Almost time. Noon, Saturday in the Horseshoe. It's the game. This, though, BuckIQ. Looking at Jack Sawyer and J.T. Tuimoloau. It is their senior day. Buckeyes need the best out of them to get a win and get a set of gold pants. For Zach, I'm Austin. Thanks for joining us on BuckIQ. We'll see you next time.